Welcome to the deep dive. If you're like most people, you've probably felt that specific modern kind of exhaustion.
Oh, yeah.
The frustration of standing in front of this mountain of self-help advice, a sea of productivity apps, and yet you still feel stuck.
Right.
You're constantly looking for that one missing piece, the system, the trick, the hack
Yeah.
that's going to finally unlock the personal growth, you're capable of.
It's definitely the information age paradox, isn't it? We have access to more knowledge about maximizing human performance than ever before, but we often suffer from this kind of crippling lack of focus. We're just overwhelmed by inputs.
Totally.
And that stress, it prevents us from sustaining the kind of deep analytical thought that really moves the needle in complex careers.
And that is precisely why we are hitting the brakes today. We're looking backward to figure out how to drive forward. What if the blueprint for sustained massive success isn't hidden in the next software update, but, well, in the forgotten wisdom of history's wealthiest and most consequential figures?
Exactly. We're pulling together sources that unveil these hidden rituals, these proven daily habits that built empires centuries ago. Practices honed by emperors, industrialists, philosophers, you name it.
Okay.
Our mission today is really to synthesize this data and deliver a timeless blueprint for success, something ready for immediate integration into your, 2025 reality.
Right.
And we're not talking about airy theories here. We're talking about tangible, proven, ancient rituals of success.
So we're doing more than just history then. We're identifying the secret thread, the thing that connects figures across totally different eras.
That's the goal. It's the core productivity principles they all shared. It shows how their routines, even though they're centuries apart, rely on the same kind of structure for tackling incredibly complex, high-stakes problems.
Okay.
And what's truly foundational here, I think, is that we are firmly debunking the myth that, enduring wealth and world-changing success is purely a product of modern innovation or some unique genius.
Right, like it just appeared out of nowhere.
Exactly. Instead, the sources confirm it's really a revival of time-tested fundamental principles. But now, crucially, they're augmented by strategic modern productivity hacks.
Okay, so the ancient structure provides the foundation, and the modern tools provide the amplification.
You got it. That sounds like a powerful combination, doesn't it?
It really does. We take the sheer foundational strength and wisdom of the ancients and give it a high-octane 2025 turbocharge.
Precisely. And the central question driving this entire deep dive is this. What is the single common daily ritual the most successful people in history shared? A ritual you could start today.
Okay.
That, when paired with modern cognitive and organizational tools, could exponentially amplify your impact.
And what is it?
Well, that shared ritual, it's the mastery of the morning.
The mastery of the morning. Okay, that powerful notion launches us straight into pillar one.
Yeah.
The mastery of morning dawn of an empire. There really is an undeniable, almost, spiritual power to that pre-dawn hour, right?
Absolutely.
That time before the world, your email, your family, your deadlines, starts demanding pieces of you.
And historically, this period wasn't treated as just extra sleep time or even time to run errands. No.
Yeah.
It was reserved for the highest leverage mental work and self-management. Think about Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, leading Rome during the plague and constant wars, arguably the most stressful job in the ancient world.
You think? Yeah.
His morning ritual wasn't passive. It involved deep, structured, stoic reflection, which he actually documented in his meditations.
Wait, let's unpack that a bit. When we say reflection, what does that actually look like for someone like Aurelius? How did he set his framework?
That's a great question. The sources, well, by examining his works, they show us it was really an exercise in mental framing and emotional inoculation.
Inoculation.
Yeah. He would use the morning stillness to rehearse the difficulties of the day ahead. He wasn't just, watching the sunrise. He was writing down specific principles, like reminding himself, today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness.
Oh, that sounds kind of bleak.
It does, but it wasn't pessimism. It was a strategy to ensure he reacted with reason and justice, not just impulse. It was about creating an internal moral and mental roadmap before the external chaos began.
That's fascinating. So it's a proactive mental preparation that makes the stressful day, less reactive.
Exactly.
And this habit, it isn't just confined to emperors dealing with invading barbarians. We see it again and again, right?
Oh, absolutely. John D. Rockefeller, a titan of early American industry.
Right. Standard Oil.
He was known for his extremely early risings, and he used that time not just to catch up, but to strategically plan, often reading reports, structuring decisions, all before his competitors even got to the office. What's consistent across centuries is this recognition that the early morning mind is your most pristine cognitive asset. It's free from the accumulated emotional stresses and decision fatigue of the day before.
Right. Fresh start.
It is the most fertile ground for deep analytical thought. The ancient methods focused on preparing the internal environment, meditation to settle the mind, structured journaling for clarity, maybe some light exercise to activate the body, all conducted before confronting the external world.
Compare that, we often do, with the modern professional who immediately just jams their brain with a flood of emails, social media notifications, other people's priorities, just by reaching for their phone first thing. You are essentially volunteering your most precious cognitive resource to fight fires that other people started. You're starting your day in reaction, not creation.
Precisely. And this is where the modern augmentations really supercharge the ancient habit. Because look, simply waking up early doesn't guarantee success. You need discipline in what you do at that time. The sources really stress integrating time blocking specifically for high-priority tasks, what Cal Newport famously terms deep work.
Okay, deep work. That's a concept that gets thrown around a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
How do we make sure our listeners aren't just calling their email triage deep work? Because I think that happens.
That's an excellent question and a common confusion. Deep work, by definition, is professional activity performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive capabilities to their absolute limit.
Okay.
It creates new value, it improves your skill, and it's really difficult to replicate. So you dedicate that first pristine hour to the task that moves your life or your company forward, the most not administrative stuff.
Got it.
You are literally reserving your peak brain power for peak cognitive demand.
And we see this pattern mirrored in modern, engineering environments, don't we? To tackle those highly complex, iterative, high-stakes projects. The kind of work that requires intense, sustained analytical focus on tiny, critical details.
Yeah.
You need those dedicated deep work sprints. You simply cannot iterate on intricate systems, whether they're organizational or technological, if you're constantly being interrupted.
Maximum complexity requires maximum focus. It's that simple. The ancient ritual gives you the time. The modern hack gives you the structure to optimize that time for cognitive output. It's the difference between merely being awake early and strategically leveraging your prefrontal cortex when it's at its absolute best.
Okay, now, for the listener who is maybe currently hitting the snooze button 3 times, the goal isn't to shock the system overnight, right? Our sources are pretty clear that the path to consistency involves starting small. You don't need to jump from 0 to a 4 a.m. routine tomorrow morning.
Definitely not. The key is integrating even just, say, 15 minutes of structured time. And to overcome that initial inertia, that resistance to change, well, we can use the 2-minute rule.
The 2-minute rule. Okay, how does that work?
It's simple. If it takes less than 2 minutes to start the activity, like laying out your yoga mat, setting out your journal, or just starting a 5-minute stretch, you commit to doing it immediately. That low bar makes the habit feel much more accessible.
Reduces the friction.
Exactly. And crucially, this habit is often best set the night before.
Right.
Decide the night before what that 15 minutes will be dedicated to. Maybe write down the one core deep work task. By proactively managing your mental state and dedicating that initial focused block to your hardest challenge, you are setting yourself up to tackle complex challenges with the focus and intensity required to build something lasting.
You're basically declaring the trajectory of your day, not just reacting to whatever comes flying at you.
That's it. You're taking control from the outset.
Okay, so that focused beginning really sets the stage perfectly for our second pillar. Strategic solitude. Because, as we move through the morning, we are immediately pulled back into connectivity, emails, messages. But the ancients, and as you say, modern high achievers, knew that high-level creation requires an interruption-free zone.
Absolutely. And this concept, it often gets misinterpreted as simply taking downtime, right? Just relaxing.
Yeah, like watching Netflix alone.
Exactly. But strategic solitude, as defined here, is deliberate isolation. It's for deep work and high-level problem solving. This isn't about escaping from work. It's about creating the ideal high-density cognitive environment for your most critical intellectual work.
Okay.
You're essentially shutting down the low-level processing demands to allow that higher-order synthesis to happen.
Right. And the philosopher Seneca, who you mentioned, known for his letters on moral guidance. He understood this implicitly, didn't he?
Oh, definitely. He wrote extensively about the need for retreat and isolation, but his solitude wasn't a vacation. It was more like a laboratory.
A laboratory?
Yeah, he saw it as the necessary practice to examine life, refine judgment, and develop complex philosophical ideas. He literally needed quiet to truly hear his own thoughts, to sort things out.
And we see this replicated today in, say, high-performance fields, where a high degree of precision and foresight is absolutely required.
For sure. Think of the periods of intense internal focus required in any organization that's developing some kind of foundational technology.
Right.
The ability to sustain deep focus over hours without interruption is a massive competitive advantage. When the systems are intricate and the stakes are really high, distraction is genuinely an existential threat to the quality of the output.
And the need for this kind of solitude, it feels like it's magnified exponentially now in 2025. With rapid advancements in AI, the sheer volume of digital communication.
Oh, yeah.
Neurotechnology constantly pushing boundaries. Escaping the digital noise is no longer optional, is it? It's essential to cultivate clarity.
It really is. If you are constantly plugged in, your brain is always just processing low-level stimuli, preventing the sustained, higher-order thinking required for genuine innovation or strategic insight.
So you have to create intentional boundaries.
You must. And the most, let's say, aggressive strategy used by figures like Bill Gates during his time at Microsoft is the famous Think Week.
Right, I've heard of that.
It's a long-form time block, a few days or even a full week, completely isolated from routine demands, dedicated solely to strategic foresight, planning, reading complex materials. It's basically a forced intellectual retreat.
Okay, but hold on. For the average listener, especially maybe parents or people in heavily collaborative jobs, customer-facing roles, suggesting a full isolated think week sounds, well, completely impossible.
Yeah, fair point.
What's the realistic middle ground we can extract from Seneca's retreat? How do we actually implement this ancient wisdom in a modern packed life?
That is the essential logistical challenge, and the answer is really scaling down the concept while scaling up the enforcement.
Okay.
If a think week is impossible, you implement a daily sacred hour, maybe even just 30 minutes to start. But this time block must be treated as absolutely non-negotiable, a period where you are literally unreachable by digital means.
Not just, I'll try not to look.
No, genuinely unreachable. You are not multitasking during this time. You are focusing on one core creation task, period.
And this is where modern tools aren't the enemy, but actually become a crucial shield.
Right, precisely. We have to use do not disturb modes aggressively, but not just for notifications. I mean, physically moving your phone to a different room, blocking specific websites using apps, employing focused work apps that literally lock you out of distracting platforms. You have to turn your digital device from a portal of constant distraction into a shielded environment for focused work.
Okay.
And this is how we connect focus to innovation. Innovation and high-level strategy. They rarely happen when you are just reacting to incoming emails and messages.
Right.
They require synthesizing vast amounts of complex information, generating novel solutions, and that's a process that is easily disrupted by constant stimulation.
Okay, but that kind of sustained intensity, even for an hour, can feel daunting.
Yeah.
Right? If you struggle to maintain a sacred hour of deep focus right away, that's normal.
Absolutely normal. And that's why the Pomodoro technique is such an incredibly useful tool here.
Ah, the Pomodoro. Can you walk us through the mechanics of that quickly?
Sure. The Pomodoro technique is basically structured time management for focus. You commit to, say, 25 minutes of intense, focused work on a single task. That's one Pomodoro. And then you take a mandated 5-minute short break.
Okay. Just 5 minutes.
Just 5. Get up, stretch, look away from the screen. Then, after maybe 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break, maybe 15-30 minutes. This method helps prevent burnout, but it also trains your mind to accept focused bursts. It breaks that massive, overwhelming task into manageable sprints.
Right.
It allows you to gradually build the stamina needed for sustained strategic thought, kind of like a marathon runner builds distance over time.
So the overarching goal, whether it's a Think Week for Bill Gates or a daily sacred hour for the rest of us, is to develop a mindset that's ready to tackle challenges with maximum intensity.
Exactly. Strategic solitude is the mechanism that ensures your most valuable asset, which is your attention. is reserved for your highest value creation. It echoes that necessity for uninterrupted concentration you see in teams tackling really complex engineering challenges.
Okay, so we've built the focus with morning mastery. We've protected the environment with strategic solitude. Now we move on to pillar 3, which feels like maybe the most necessary check on ego and trajectory, the ritual of reflection, learning from every victory and defeat.
Yes, and reflection is often thought of as just, casual contemplation, maybe staring out the window.
Right, thinking about your day.
But as defined in our sources, it is far more structured than that. It is the ancient practice of systematically reviewing one's actions, decisions, outcomes, whether daily, weekly, or yearly, with the specific, almost scientific intent of extracting actionable lessons for the next cycle.
Okay, scientific intent. And the quintessential historical example here has got to be Benjamin Franklin.
Absolutely. His structured self-assessment was legendary. Franklin didn't just feel good about his accomplishments, he quantified them. Every single evening, he would review his progress against his famous 13 virtues.
Things like temperance, silence, order.
Industry, all those. And that review was meticulous. He apparently carried a small book or ledger.
Wow.
And charted his progress daily, placing a little black mark next to any virtue he felt he had failed to uphold that day.
That's intense.
It is. And the question he asked himself every evening was incredibly specific. What good have I done today? This was a structured, deliberate, daily feedback mechanism built right into the core of his routine, designed purely to ensure constant incremental self-improvement.
That systematic approach.
Yeah.
It's mirrored perfectly in modern high-growth, high-complexity organizations today, isn't it?
Completely. We see it in iterative development cycles in tech, for instance. Every product launch, every system test is followed by an immediate review, a postmortem. Failures aren't just accepted as setbacks. They are immediately classified as data points requiring deep structural analysis and correction. What went wrong? Why? How do we prevent it next time?
Tough.
That's the essence of implementing a structured system for personal and professional growth. Reflection transforms every experience, good or bad, into a valuable objective data point. You are effectively generating your own personal performance data, and then you're acting as the chief engineer who analyzes that data to optimize the machine, which is you.
So we're basically talking about adopting organizational science for personal improvement.
Yeah.
You mentioned borrowing from the concept of agile retrospectives earlier.
Right.
For the listener who might not be familiar with that term from like software development, how do we practically apply an agile retrospective to our personal life?
Think of it as an organized, impartial post-mortem for your week. Instead of just vaguely feeling bad about a missed deadline or a project going sideways, you dedicate, say, 30 minutes on a Friday afternoon to ask 3 critical, specific questions. 1, what should I start doing? So a new habit or approach you want to try.
Okay.
Start. What should I stop doing? A wasteful habit, a process that isn't working, something to eliminate.
Stop. Got it.
And 3, what should I continue doing? Recognizing an existing success or effective habit that you want to amplify or protect.
Start, stop, continue.
Yeah.
That structured format makes it really actionable, doesn't it? Instead of just a, leather-bound journal entry that's mostly emotional venting.
Right.
This process mandates a data-driven path forward. And you could use digital journaling tools or maybe those daily debrief apps to track your progress against these 3 categories.
And the consistency of that tracking is what really matters. You're identifying areas for improvement with the same kind of rigor you see in high-stakes engineering, where even the smallest deviation in performance data requires deep examination. You're closing the loop.
Closing the loop.
Yeah. So if you spent your morning mastering deep work, but you didn't quite achieve the outcome you wanted, the evening or weekly reflection allows you to isolate the variable that led to the shortfall. Was it distraction? Was it poor planning? Was the goal maybe too broad to begin with?
And that is how this seemingly simple habit, when it's reinforced by clear, self-generated feedback loops, changes the entire trajectory of your career and personal life.
Exactly. Reflection transforms failures into scalable, defined lessons. And it amplifies successes by defining why something works so you can repeat it.
The result is that you adapt as swiftly as any modern disruptor, constantly optimizing your approach to life and work. This iterative, rapid self-correction. That's the secret to accelerating your trajectory faster than your peers, isn't it?
That's precisely the idea. Continuous improvement driven by structured self-assessment. #V, optimizing cognitive function in conclusion.
Okay, so we've established the 3 pillars: morning mastery, strategic solitude, and structured reflection. That's the ancient architecture for success. But, as we promised at the start, we need to make sure these habits can actually thrive in a chaotic, fast-paced 2025 reality.
Right.
This requires moving beyond just sheer willpower and into the realm of modern optimization.
Absolutely. The practical application really requires two things: sustainable implementation and, well, cognitive support.
Okay.
For sustainable implementation, the key is still starting small and scaling up using microhabits. We have to minimize the friction of starting, trying to implement a full 2-hour routine right off the bat. That's usually a recipe for failure.
Yeah, I can see that.
Instead, focus on just 2 minutes of stillness, maybe 2 minutes of writing in that reflection journal, or 2 minutes of stretching. Consistency always trumps intensity initially.
Okay. Consistency over intensity. And addressing the consistency obstacle, the fact that external demands constantly interrupt our best intentions, that's where habit stacking comes in, right?
Exactly. Habit stacking is about strategically leveraging existing established routines that you already do without thinking.
How does that work in practice?
Think of it like a chain reaction. You take an established habit you never miss, say pouring your morning cup of coffee or maybe shutting down your computer at the end of the workday, and you immediately stack the new desired habit right on top of it. So after I pour my coffee, I will open my debrief app. Or after I close my laptop, I will write down 3 things I learned today.
Ah, okay. So it bypasses the need for willpower because the trigger is already automatic.
Precisely. You're linking the new behavior to an existing anchor.
And of course, we have to keep leveraging modern productivity tools to enforce the solitude and boundaries we talked about, making sure those foundational ancient moments are protected by, like, technological infrastructure.
Right. The modern world gives us the ability to build an almost impenetrable wall around our focus if we choose to use the tools that way. But here's where we apply the true 2025 turbocharge. A key element in modernizing these ancient habits is actively optimizing your underlying brain chemistry.
Brain chemistry.
Yeah. While the ancients focused on meditation and physical exercise, which are fantastic, don't get me wrong, we now understand much more about the precise biochemical underpinnings of sustained focus and clarity. The sources are explicit about the need to amplify mental efforts.
Okay, when we talk about amplifying mental efforts, we're moving beyond just eating healthy and into something more specific, like targeted cognitive nutrition. What does that practically look like?
Well, it means understanding that sustained focus requires stable energy, and stable energy starts with managing things like inflammation and blood sugar levels.
Okay.
So targeted nutrition emphasizes compounds critical for brain function, things like omega-3 fatty acids for structural integrity, B vitamins for energy metabolism, ensuring adequate hydration, micronutrients. It's about eating not just to fuel your body, but to stabilize the neurotransmitters required for prolonged deep work.
So you're treating your brain like a high-performance engine that requires specific, clean fuel.
That's a great analogy, exactly.
And for those seeking maybe an extra edge, we get into the discussion of personalized nootropics and supplementation. What's the guiding principle there? Because that can sound a bit out there.
The principle should be simple. Use supplementation strategically to modulate your existing neurotransmitters for peak function and stress resilience. For instance, L-theanine, which is found naturally in green tea, is often paired with caffeine.
Right.
Not just for alertness, but because L-theanine can induce a state of calm, focused attention, it reduces the caffeine jitters while maintaining the energy. The goal isn't artificial stimulation. It's more about balancing the chemistry to support the mental clarity needed for complex, sustained information processing.
Okay, so it's optimization, not just boosting. This really sounds like biooptimization meeting ancient structure. And the sources even mention advanced concepts like neurofeedback. That sounds, well, pretty intimidating. How does that connect back to Marcus Aurelius and Ben Franklin?
It connects because it's kind of the ultimate expression of the ritual of reflection, but applied directly to your brainwaves.
Okay.
Neurofeedback uses real-time displays of your brain activity. Think of it almost like a fitness tracker, but for your concentration levels, to train self-regulation. You learn consciously how to shift your brain into states associated with high focus, like the alpha or theta waves needed for deep problem solving.
Wow.
It's about achieving a state of hyperfocus, not just through sheer willpower anymore, but through targeted biological and technological support.
So if the ancient blueprint taught us what to do with our time, solitude, reflection, morning focus, the 2025 augmentation teaches us how to ensure our brain can actually handle the task effectively.
You nailed it. This blend of ancient structure and modern biooptimization is what truly unlocks that inner potential and allows for maximum efficiency, especially during that sacred hour we talked about.
Okay.
So the powerful call to action here is really clear. The blueprint for lasting success and, empire building in your own life, it's timeless and it's available to everyone. It requires the foundational strength of that ancient wisdom, solitude, reflection, early focus, and the right productivity arsenal and cognitive optimization techniques to thrive in the complex demands of today.
It's not about finding some magic new trick. It's about rediscovering a foundation that has worked for thousands of years.
That's right.
And then reinforcing it with cutting-edge tools. So start your journey today. Schedule that solitude. Implement that 2-minute reflection habit.
And if we connect this foundational wisdom back to the overwhelming complexity of modern life, it really raises one crucial question for you, the listener, to maybe mull